Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Miguda. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine, sir. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm managing well. Um, any good news from your side?
Good news. We are
Mm.
managing well on our side.
Uh-huh.
The political temperature keep on rising from church
Oh,
to politics, church to
th-
politics, politics to church, politicians and religious leaders.
yeah, actually, the evangelical leaders um, have kind of like communicated to the president, tell him to stop making more promises. And the political temperature is on the rise, and I'm seeing a situation whereby the country is now going on a political uh, campaign mode is being activated based on what is happening and what the political class are doing, because it's a matter of encountering what your opponent has said. Because remember, the Rigji is here sending salvos and punching to the government that he used to work at, and the government also will try to come and counter that. So the political scene is being activated. Yeah, or what do you think?
Previously, the Catholic Council of Bishops asked William Ruto to work on the promises he made.
Yeah.
Today, you have seen the evangelical leaders are also telling William Ruto to stop more promises and deliver
Hmm.
fast. That shows you the religious leaders are regrouping to have their position in opposition to oppose the current regime or the status quo. William Ruto is also making moves, not responding to them. He wants to achieve his goal for being re-elected in 2022. So he must start early campaigns and move across the country, particularly the regions that he never make inroads in the previous campaign. He is
Hmm.
majorly into those regions. Politics has rise, temperature has rise, and also religious leaders have regrouped to oppose the status quo. So the question could be, who is this person regrouping these religious leaders? Is
Yeah.
this person Ruto's future opponent?
Okay. That's okay. Did you get a chance to listen to the conversation, the audio conversation between Atwoli and Peter Salasia?
Not really.
Yeah, there's this audio that was leaked in the internet where Atwoli was advising Peter Salasia to take it easy. Uh, Peter Salasia has been on attack mode, especially to the Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga. So Atwoli was advising him, "Oh, go slowly. You should find a way of go and talk to him secretly and be closer to Oparanya so that we can advise you." So because you are a futuristic leader, but Peter Salasia was very, very, very much adamant, and he was talking about the Kera, Kenha, and about the CDF, that was there. And also there was this recruitment that was taking place in Nakuru, was organized by Alfred Mutua, where people, a majority of Kenyans went. But I think it was um, that there were jobs. But from the look of things, it was like there was an organization between a certain agents, to come there. Because I watched a video of a guy saying, like, by you just picking that paper, you're already qualified. But there's also amount that you need to pay, you know. So, what is your take on that?
First, the issue of Salasia and Atoli conversation on that audio.
Mhm.
The advice was good from Atoli, being an elder in the region and the community.
Yeah.
But the where I will disagree with Atoli. Whenever they have identified a leader, a young leader, they usually promise you are a future
Mm.
leader, go
Mm.
slow, respect the
Yeah.
elders. But the
Yeah.
future is not promising if you follow that route. The
Mm.
people who have disobeyed their advice and their address have gone far. There were
Mhm.
times they told William Ruto that go to the late President Daniel Arap Moi, ask for forgiveness. Ruto did not go to Daniel Arap Moi. eventually to become the president.
Mhm.
This idea of when a leader is expressing his view to
Yeah.
someone who is seen in politics, you view it
Mhm.
as a disrespect. I do not
Mhm.
think so. Because in politics, there is no seniority and junior. Because,
Mhm.
for instance, if Raila could be Salasia opponent, you know the
Mhm.
way politicians do attack each other using those words.
Mhm.
Could Salasia be restricted to use those words? No, he could have just used those words. That's why he said, I don't buy that idea of telling Salasia to go to that route of maybe looking for Raila one on one. If he can
Mhm.
express himself publicly, the better. Other thing I'm seeing, Salasia might also be viewing it that for him to be relevant, he must
Yeah.
attack Raila to attract the attention of the people. Because Raila being a prominent figure in the country, by you
Yeah.
attacking him, it makes you very relevant. Maybe it can work for him in the politics of the future.
But if you find what Salasa is talking about, Salasa was talking about things that he feels actually that the right honorable prime minister was saying that they should go back to the national government like Kenha, I think so, and he was feeling like okay, that is not the right way, yeah. So and he also talked about Adani that he he's in support of Adani, so you know and now it really feels like okay you need to talk so that you can be mentored and as you said there that sometimes um, the elders they tend to uh, tell you to slow down if you are kind of like going on a criticizing somebody who is a big politician like Raila in the society. And you've mentioned about William Ruto. I can remember for sure how actually used to say that the Ruto will not be president, and that was his campaign for the longest time. But as fate would had it, President Ruto became the president, and he is now one person who is in support of Ruto presidency. So that is how politics is being played. And we've talked also about the political um, campaign mode is kind of like being activated based on. You saw today the president was in Kisumu. There was that massive reception and the crowd that was in Kondele, and would tell you, and the president keep on his normal promises, the healthcare, might fine, all that. To me, there was nothing new that he said that we've not had. So, and he was well received, whether the crowd were transported or no, but the fact has it that he was well received. Or what is your take on the President Kondele issue?
First, the issue of Atwoli. If you want to know that these guys are not genuine, who has
Mhm.
Atwoli mentored? Atwoli has mentored nobody.
Yeah.
How is he going to tell you that go slow, you will be mentored? And
Mhm.
who has Raila mentored in that case? Sometimes elders, when they see a young man going too fast, they try to tame him by giving advice like go slow, you'll be
Mhm.
mentored. On what capacity are you going to be
Yeah.
mentored? Sometimes
Mhm.
actually you need to just be because he was the one who was telling people not to vote for William Ruto. He was the first person to support the Ruto administration.
Yeah.
He's known of his kind of politics. If you talk about the reception by the president in Kisumu, it was a well organized political rally. If that is what it was a well
Yeah.
organized political rally because there was massive reception by the local from Kisumu,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
the president made such usual utterances. He talked about universal health coverage. He also talked about the agricultural sector, particularly the sugarcane,
Yeah.
and he said that right now we are not importing sugars, which is not the case. We are still importing sugars. That
Mhm.
we are now at a capacity of exporting our own sugars and using it locally. That's how he stated in his address. He goes ahead and attack and respond to Rigathi Gachagua. So they have just drawn battle lines for attacking each other. He said that the people who are tribal in the government, the people who are spreading the gospel of tribalism,
Mhm.
have been shown the way to their home. That was referring to Rigathi Gachagua.
Yeah. Okay. You talked about sugar and how he the president was saying that we are almost at a juncture where we can export our sugar. But right in the county of Kisumu, we have two factories that right now I don't think they are operating. We have Mumias, not Mumias really. We have Moroni, and we have also Miwani, and we know right now they are not operating. The only um, company that is in operation is Kibos, and which is not parastatal, is an individual owned sugar company. So I don't know the rate of their production, and I also know of another, so I don't know the rate of production at which they get, but maybe he's a president, he has information on the production that we are producing right now in terms of the sugar industry. And if it could be at a position of exporting sugar, the price at which the retail price or the price at which the consumers are buying the sugar could have been low, yeah, because which means we have the massive. So if the product, let's say the product in the market is, you know, we have a overflow of a product in the market, so which means the market is flooded with the sugar. So which means for the goods to move very fast in the shelves of the retail shops uh, or anywhere, the price has to be down because we have massive uh, production. You know, so that one comes to the law of supply and demand. You know, because if the supply is high, the demand will be low. Yeah. So, and when the supply, we have a lot of the sugar, so which means the prices will be also very low. So I don't know, maybe the president has a way in which he has those information to say that. MCOBURA, how are you doing, sir?
Good evening. I'm doing good.
Yeah,
How are you guys doing?
we are fine.
That's good.
Yeah,
Happy to join the team.
thank you so much. How has your day been?
My day has been uh, it has not been easy. It's been up and down, but it's that is
Okay,
how it is always. We are used to it.
thank you so much for joining us too. We are here. Actually, we've not gone to the main discussion of the day. We were just still looking at the highlights that happened about the president in Kisumu, where he got massive reception at Kondele. That was also there. We also had the evangelical leaders had made a message to the president telling him to stop promising, to stop promising or giving more promises, and that is there. And today we want to discuss about Okiya Omtata presidency, because we know on to few days ago, Okiya formed a 18-member committee that was supposed to be looking into its presidency, and he did it through gazette notice to Kenyans. And his announcement was met with um, mixed reactions. There are those who were very happy about his move. There are also those who are questioning about his move. And yesterday he was at Spice FM, and a bit he gave his, I would say, a synopsis or a summary of the kind of a presidency or the kind of view, do I say the blueprint of who Okiya Omtata is, or what is looking for the country. So that is what we want to look at, and the presidency of Okiya Omtata, or the entrance of Okiya Omtata into 2027 election. How will it impact, and is it the great deal that Kenyans have been looking for, based on ideologies, what he stands for, and what he has been doing. So that is what we want to look. And how will it change the political landscape? And how will it change the leadership of Kenya? Is it the right time for Kenyans to take their country back? Because that has always been, I say, in the majority of the Kenyan, most of the time we want to take back our country. So let me start with you, MCOBURA, then I'll come to Miguda. What is your take on Okiya Omtata, 18 committee member, to look into his presidential bid, whether it is possible for him to run?
Okay, thank you very much. Before I get into that matter, allow me to also give my view on the president's reception in Kisumu, specifically in Kondele, and the comments of the church leaders. Uh, First, I come from Kisumu County, and I've been living in that county for quite some time. I know how politics is played in that county very well. So, from where I sit, the reception that the president got, it is not, it is something that, according to me, if you ask me, I'll say it is planned
Mhm,
because I know those people. The people of Kisumu are nice people, but when they're mobilized, of
mhm,
course, they are always there to, show the way. And they wanted to show the president that he's loved. But the truth is, it was a mobilized, crowd to just make the president feel that he's at home and is loved.
mhm.
But the truth of the matter is, no one is really happy with how the government is being run currently.
Yeah.
On the issue of church leaders, the ones that you've just mentioned, telling the president to either stop lying, I think that is, I think that that is something that we've been seeing. It is not the first time that we've had such comments from the church leaders, and it is their duty, and it's a good thing that they've come out to continue reminding the president to respect the people and to do his job according to uh, what the constitution says and the promises that he told the people of Kenya when he carried the Bible. So from where I sit, it is a good thing, and they're doing a good thing. Let them keep reminding them because the same Bible says that remind them even if they are aware. Possibly the president would get to understand that people are in need of his good leadership.
Yeah.
On the issue of Omtata, Omtata is a Kenyan activist, long-standing Kenyan activist who has fought for the rights of the people, uh, and he's been consistent. He's fought, corruption. He's fought for the rights of the people, constitutional amendment issues. He's an activist who the people of Kenya really respect him. I also respect him because whatever he fights for, more of the things that he fights for
Yeah.
benefits the people of Kenya. Sometimes he fought for things which are of things which are of national interest, but not individual. So it's a good thing that he has shown interest in the top seat. And if he was supposed to maybe go for that seat, if he was supposed to have election today or tomorrow,
Mhm,
I can tell you here that I would vote for him very early in the morning because leadership is something that is that is vested in people, and it is a gift that is not given to everyone. It is a gift that is given to few
yeah.
by God. And from all those acts, I think that clarifies that he's a leader who can defend the people, who can respect their rights, a leader who can fight corruption by all means, Remember, the main reason why we are suffering as a country is the high level of corruption. But we've seen instances where the president has been very focused. Okiya Omtata has been very focused, fighting for the rights and fighting all those people who are involving themselves in state corruption. So it is a good thing that I believe if he gets into this opportunity, into this position, he'll be able to have the command, have the power to ensure that corruption is dealt with to the maximum.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. MCOBURA. Miguda, what is your take on Okiya Omtata based of the fact that he's one person that has always been fighting? I don't know how many times Okiya Omtata has gone to court, especially when there is something that, or there's an issue that is pressing the Kenyan people. He would always uh, go to the courts and he would always fight it until he feels that the justice has been served to Kenyans. There are so many cases that he has won. There are also those that he has lost, and now is coming in as wants to be the president of the country 2027 if the committee of 18 member will bring back the results to him and say that okay, you are the person to lead the country, and how are they going to do the campaigns? I think Miguda just left. So
Yeah,
Makubura,
maybe
you,
to just add on something,
yeah,
I think Okiya Omtata is not actually a lawyer. He's not an advocate of the
yeah,
High Court of Kenya.
mhm,
But just for the love of the people and for the love of justice, he has, ensured that he's gotten some lessons.
yeah,
He has known how to even fight cases, how to argue cases, and he has argued so many cases which has gone successful, and that is something that we should emulate as a people. Being that he's not an advocate, he's not a lawyer, but we've seen him in the courts arguing very high-end cases, and he has won most of the cases, and that's a sign that truly, if someone has a passion to fight
yeah,
for the people, they
mm,
can go to an extent where even if they're not having a certain, they're not of certain profession, but for the interest of the people, sometimes they go ahead to just try get to understand how things operate. And I really, really like what he has done,
mhm,
and his move to go for presidency and also to form a team. I think that's the best thing. We've been seeing people going for presidency, but they've never clarified and put things on the plate for the people to understand. So it is a good move that if really is interested in that, you know, we've lacked presidents or leaders who are not transparent, leaders who are not putting things on the table, leaders who are not consulting the people. And that is why we've messed several times. So his move of coming up with experts to give him a way forward,
yeah,
it is a best move. It is something that he has even put before the people, and it is something that the people are aware of.
mm.
And that clarifies and shows that truly, if he's given an opportunity to run the country, whatever move that he'll be taking, it would be a move that is involving the people.
Okay, thank you so much, Miguda. We wanted to get your view, then you dropped. When you look at the presidency of Okiya Omtata, and I think you have a brief history of himself, based on what he has been doing, is it the right deal right now? We could say that Kenya is having right now, and they should consider his presidency.
Okay, Mtata coming to the race in this time in the country of Kenya, there is that gap that Kenyan people want a new leader, and Kenyan people want a change in the structure of the government.
Mhm.
There have been that wave of change since Ruto came to power. Even what influenced the Gen Z movement was that change. Okiya Omtata was identified by the Gen Zs that he is the best man to bring change in the country. Reasons which propel him to be viewed as one of the people to bring change in the country is because of his history by standing with the people. Okiya Omtata has stood with the people of Kenya in cases where some of the people of Kenya usually not follow up in the court. He has been going to the court, following those cases, and most of the cases have been stopped by the court, citing the public interest. Most of the cases which Okiya Omtata has won, they have been based on the public interest. This is a man who has put the public interest ahead of his own interest. He is a man who has put the Kenyan people first. Imagine if Okiya Omtata could have not gone to court. There are some legislations which could have been law today in this country, and they could have affected the people directly. Such a person is good for the country, and is a good for the country. But now our politics sometimes cannot favor him.
Yeah.
People like him. People like his leadership. And even if you ask about corruption cases,
Mhm.
scandals, Okiya Omtata has never been mentioned. The only time he was arrested or he was tortured or he was mishandled by the police is when he was fighting for the rights of Kenyan people. So by the time he was fighting for the rights of the Kenyan people, that's the time the policemen arrested him. He has never been arrested on any corruption cases. He has never been arrested on any act that contravened the constitution. In my view, Okiya Omtata is the right candidate for now, but the circumstances and the dynamics of the politics cannot favor him. The current opponent you are going to face is William
Mhm.
Ruto. William Ruto is the incumbent, and William Ruto must defend that seat. We need someone who can remove him from state house or who can fight the status quo. If you can understand the point of William Ruto, you need exactly someone who resembles him to remove from that seat. But as for Okiya Omtata, we are appreciating the fact that he has come out and presented himself to the electorate. Kenyan people right now should put their differences aside when it comes to religion, tribalism, or political interest. For the sake of the country, let us just sacrifice all our political interests and give Kenyan the best president we can have as now.
Okay, thank you so much. And you've talked of the political difference, and we know, and we've always talked about how the Kenyan politics is usually run. It's about the regions and the kingpins and all that. And even right now, you could see on how the political class usually introduce the tribal card in a very, very, very intelligent way that if you cannot understand, and when you look at the Okiya Omtata, and based on what he said on Spice FM, you know, to me, is somebody that has what it takes, that what Kenyans has been yearning for, what Kenyans have been saying. Because if you look at what he said on Spice FM, some of the things that I really picked was about how he's going to run his campaign or what he's going to fight for. His campaign or his vision and view is pegged on three tires. And one of the tires is economic and social reforms. And in economic and social reforms, he's talked about constitutionalism. And that's include the rule of law. And where he says that the law will apply to everybody and to every transaction that is taking place. So that is his first tire in terms of economic and social reforms, talking about constitutionalism. So which means everything that will be done, the law will be the primary measure for everything. That if the law allows us to do that, then that will be what will be done. Again, any transaction will be done according to the law. So, Miguda, maybe you are somebody before I bring in MCOBURA. You know, you are well versed with the constitutionalism. especially when it comes to transaction. Um, because like sometimes you find like the way president goes somewhere and say that Bona Treasury, he gave that example, like we need 2 million to do this project, yet it was not budgeted for. Do you think that even the Kenyans themselves are ready for that, the constitutionalism and the social reforms?
I'm glad that Okiya Omtata has presented one of these tasks to be economic and social transformation and reforms. The reason is that is what has been the problem in the country. The problem has been economic and social rights. Okiya Omtata has just derived that tire from the Constitution of Kenya. In our Constitution, Article 43 talked about economic and social rights. He goes ahead and said that rule of law and constitutionalism will be its primary factor.
Mm.
He's telling the people that Kenya is a country governed by the rule of law. There's no way you can say to love your country without respecting the rule of law. He goes further and said that it is only through the constitution. He said that there's no problem in the country. The problem is the implementation of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. Because everything is in the Constitution of the Kenya 2010. If a leader can actually implement that Constitution of Kenya 2010 through applying those provisions or articles in the Constitution, we can go back to the right track as a country. For instance, the issue of economic and social reforms,
Yeah,
like now issue of affordable housing, issue of universal health coverage, infrastructure in the education sector, clean water, service delivery to the people, they are all captured in Article 43.
yeah,
You have no option. If if you're a government or a president, you have no option but to provide services to the people of Kenya. By doing so, doesn't mean that you are doing favor to the people. That's what Okiya is trying to say. That
mm,
once you are elected, you have no option but to work for the people in accordance with the rule of law. There's no argument or there's no debate that I have brought for you affordable houses, I have brought for you infrastructure, I have brought for you universal health coverage. Those are fundamental rights of the people. They are captured in the Bill of Rights. Because he said that he want to reform that economic and social rights because that is where most of the people have been pegging their argument, trying to not provide actual to the people of Kenya. They're doing you favor when they come to your location and give you government services. Those are rights which are envisaged in the constitution. That's why I agree with Okiya Omtata. If at all he can bring that, during the demonstrations, there were so many debates on social media and mainstream media. People are very particular that we do not have a problem as a country. We have the best constitution, very transformative one. The only thing we are lacking, an effective leader to implement it. By the time he was reading his tires, he's trying to incorporate the views of the people that with me, I will implement that constitution of Kenya, which other people have failed to implement. So that's why I see Okiya Omtata brought that issue of economic and social reforms.
okay, thank you so much, Makubura. These economic and social reforms, and this is where Okiya Omtata was very, very so much specific and categorical on the transaction. You know that every transaction that will be done, yeah, that it has to pass through law, that it should be what is permitted by the law of our country. And as you know, there's some of the transactions that sometimes are being done that do not qualify or do not pass through what the law requires or what the constitution requires. For instance, there are those that requires public participation. You saw we have the issue of Adani. We have um, especially like there's so many money that have been put into wasted by going through a project, yet the project has not picked up and nothing takes place. based on what Mr. Okiya or Mutata stand for, uh, what will the Kenyans themselves do, or will they agree with what Okiya or Mutata is saying, and this one will propel them or will motivate them to go to vote? Because this is what they have been looking for, about somebody who cares about their money, about somebody who want to tell them what your money is doing or what your taxes is doing. Will this one bring them to the ballot?
I always compare Dr. Fred Matiang'i to the late president of Tanzania, Dr. John Pombe Magufuli. But when it comes to this gentleman, Omtata, I believe that Omtata is better than uh, Dr. Omtata is better than Dr. Matiang'i. And from where I see it, I can say that, you know, when you're running a business, especially for those anyone who is in the business sector, whatever business that you're running, expenses, there are things that we call assets, there are things we call capital, and then there's liability. Anything that is getting out of a business, whether it is 1 shillings, it affects the business. And what we are seeing in this country is we've seen situations where, the government has been getting money out of the economy without the knowledge of the people. Sometimes we see them taking a lot of money without even consulting the people. And then when this money has been misused, or when corruption has been realized that, part of it was taken to corruption and investigation has started, that is when you will hear that, what, we took CG how many billions, we wanted to see CG do what, and those monies were not even, there is nowhere that there is, like, if you start tracing, they don't always leave records which can lead or can help in the investigation.
Yeah.
So these kind of laws, which are open, has given the people in government a leeway to siphon people's money. And if Okiya Mtata can come with a way of blocking all corruption ways, like this money which the government or people in government just spend without the authority of the people, without the authority of the parliament, without anything tangible that they've been given the right by the constitution. I think those are things that we need to look into as a country, because if you look at where more of Kenyan money is going, it is through those kind of behaviors. You'll find that a president is going, let's say, to Kisumu. He has taken, I don't know how many billion. He'll be trying to lie to the people of Kisumu that nimeleta hii, alafu after some times when there's money that would be investigated, atasema, oh, I went with 10 billion to Kisumu, and there is no any accountability. It cannot be accounted for. Those are things that we need to look at as a people. And any leader who is interested in running the country and ensuring that they block all avenues of corruption, I think that's a good move. We've also noted and seen that the government, most of times, they do operate outside, the outside the budget, not once but several times. More of time they do it even without the authorization of the parliament. We've seen that, we've had these cases, and when they try, when the relevant authorities start investigating, we're always being told here by the auditor, the controller of budget, every now and then, that there is money that was spent outside the budget. If you try to follow this money that was spent outside the budget, they they will start telling you of stories. You know what? We went and built, I don't know, an airport. We went and built, I don't know, an airstrip. But if you go on ground to try look at what really these people are claiming to have done, there's nothing at all. And the audit of general most of time has said and has given it open that those are red flags, and that is the way that more of Kenyan money is getting into corrupt pockets. You know, a president or a governor or a member of a president, for example, or close allies or people who are within the government,
mm,
they cannot take money from the treasury or from wherever, money that belong to the people of Kenya, that they are going with to give people as if it is their own money.
yeah,
That is a culture that we have to get out of. The president has been moving everywhere, going left, right, and center. The other day he was in church and he gave 5 million, which, if you look at where that money came from, you'll be told that it is Kenyan money
mm,
coming from the revenue that we are collecting. It is
mm,
not his money. So those are things that we need to stop. This issue of bribing left and center by the
mm,
government officials,
mm.
it is something that, if those are the proposals that Okiya Omtata is coming with, then we are on the right track and we should support him.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Makobura, for that. And we will be looking at what will be the reaction of Kenyans, because if Okiya Omtata is coming with his first tier about economic and social reforms, actually, if you look at it very widely, is trying to have what we call the transparency and accountability of how the money that is being collected is being used, and how are we collecting our taxes, where are we using them, and and anybody who misuse the money will be held to accountable, and the money will be only used under the law, if the law allows that kind of a project, or if it is done within the confines of the law or the confines of our constitution. That is the first tier of Okiya Mutata. The second tier is about discipline of discipline of fiscal, and this is about the budget that we usually have, because the budget is usually done on a yearly. So he wants the discipline to be in that, whereby things that should be brought in place, if I correctly had him, was about to bring check public finances and structure, whereby to eliminate corruption. This is what he said: to eliminate corruption. That is, if we are so much disciplined in our fiscal, we can eliminate
I
corruption.
think that is partly what I explained,
Yeah.
whereby I said that any project that is being done outside the budget,
Hmm.
these people, they always do this intentionally
Yeah.
so that they can have a reason to say that, what, we took the money to do this.
Yeah.
But truth be told, any government project that is planned, unless there is an emergency, but most of times there are no emergencies. They literally plan this without their knowledge so that they can find a little way of siphoning people's money. And that issue of fiscal budget, you know, any government that is coming, let's say the government of William Samoei Ruto, we had the finance bill 2023, 2024. Every year a government has a plan of what they are doing.
Yeah.
And, you only plan, when you are or when you are making the finance, with the projects that you have that you want to ensure that you complete within the year. You have to do a calculation and try make it fit within that financial year, and that is what has been happening. But
Mhm.
even before we finished the financial year, we've seen them taking a lot of money. We've seen them going to take loans. Actually, this is where the loans are now coming in.
Yeah, that's
This is where the bonds, I don't know which bond, the IMF, and all those things.
yeah.
And it is not necessary. It is really not necessary. This is a plan by
Okay.
senior government officials, and we need to be careful, and let's support any person who is coming up with ways to mitigate these characters within
Okay.
the government.
Okay, Miguda, Makobura has talked about this tier of fiscal budget, and this is where the discipline of how the government is using his money, especially at some point he mentioned this, to restore the budget, to restore the budget as a primary tool for governing the government, and this should be that the path that it should help us to formulate the government policies through the budget. And he also talked in this fiscal is whereby he talked about the domestic borrowing and the international borrowing. And if you look at right now what we are facing, we've borrowed, especially domestically, and also we've borrowed globally, through IMF and the monetary fund. And sometimes we don't see the, 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 the great effect of the money that has been borrowed. And now Okiya Omtata is coming with this tire and saying that there must be a discipline in this tire. What is your take? And should Kenyans support this, Kenyans of goodwill, without looking at like is a tribal or what kind of tribe is coming from? What is your take?
In my view, Kenyans of goodwill should support whatever Okiya Omtata is presenting to them. Okiya Omtata understand the economy of the country.
Mm.
That's why in his first tie he said that about economic and social reforms. He is linking economic to our public finance. He is talking about national debts. Before even you go into domestic and international borrowing, first we have to accept that there's a national debt for the Republic of Kenya. We have the national debt. Then he goes ahead and talk about expenditure. How do government want to expend? How do we want to spend that money? And in that public finance, you also want to introduce the issue of taxation, whereby you want to view taxation must have representation. Members of the public must be represented when it comes to taxation. How are you going to cut taxes on the middle class or on the low class people? How are you going to manage their taxes? How are you going to bring distinction? Is using Article 10 of National Values and Principles of Governance. He's tried to bring the issue of transparency in his government, that whenever it's given opportunity to have a government, that government will be a government of transparency, it will be a government of equality, equity, people will be involved in the public participation. That's why he said that economic and social reforms in his first tier. It means that he had people talking about implementation of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. It's been the issue of public participation, that with him, he will not run a government without public participation. If you look at our Constitution, chapter 12 of public finance, it has a problem, even in terms of budget making process in parliament, because it is the role of parliament to make budget. But as things stand, the budget is being made from state house, they just bring presentation in parliament. Our finance bill is being drafted in Washington, D.C., then they are being in parliament to pass it. It's trying to correct things that it is Kenyan people who understand their economy. It's Kenyan people who understand their national debts, because it is us who pay those debts. It is us, after borrowing, it's us who paid. Even when it comes to expenditure, they spend in terms of the people of Kenya. They don't spend in terms of an individual or a government or a public officer. In his all ties, if you look at tie 1 and tie 2, you see him talking about amendment of the constitution and implementation of the constitution. Not only implementation, but also to amend. He's going to implement it through national values and principle of governance. At the same time, there are some chapters he's going to amend to suit the current economy of the country.
You are muted.
The second tier too, he talked about something that is very, very much important, about separation of the Ministry of Finance and Treasury, where his the Ministry of Finance, is going to be separated from the Treasury, whereby the Ministry of Finance will only be dealing with the policies. They don't deal with the finances of the country. So how will this one work? Because you find most of the time the leaders, especially those who are in power, especially if you're the president and your executive, you have the Ministry of Finance at your own disposal. Is where you can make a call and say, okay, this is what we want, because since the CS who is in charge of that ministry has to um, yield to your call, some money might be withdrawn. Remember, like right now, Mbadi was trying to ask for around, is it 17 billion Kenya shillings to go and support our soldiers in Haiti. I don't know whether you saw that news, because the UN is not financing that as we speak right now. They've spent 2.1 billion, and they were also asking for another 17 billion. I don't know. Did you read that news? Hello, Makobura.
Yes.
Did you get a chance to read the news of 17 billion that the treasury is seeking, especially to go and assist our soldiers in Haiti?
Yes, I did, and that was something that the people of Kenya are actually talking about, and they're saying that the whole thing. We were told that the government of US was actually helping,
Mm-hmm.
and that we were not supposed to be using our own money to help whatever is happening over there.
Yeah.
So it is really unfair that we are fighting a war that does not actually belong to us. We
Yeah.
are fighting on behalf of other countries, and those countries are supposed to be helping in whatever resources is needed there, and
Mm-hmm.
then the people's taxes, the Kenyan taxes, are still going to be paid, to be used to pay, whatever is happening there. That's against the, that is actually going against the will of the people,
Yeah.
and that the people who made them go there, we had questions. We raised so many questions. First,
Yeah.
the police officers are not supposed to go past the borders of the country.
Yeah.
So whatever is happening there, first, it is illegal, it is against the constitution. But since the president and maybe the president of the US, they had their own charts and agreements, Mr. Ruto decided to accept the offer. And it seems a new government is coming in the United States of America, and possibly there is no goodwill. And for that reason, we are being forced as a people to, we are going to carry a debt that do not actually belong to us.
Okay.
In the Republic of Kenya, there are so many places where there is insecurity. Kerio Valley, you go where within the borders,
Yeah.
people are still being killed within the borders of Somalia and Kenya, in the northern east Kenya. There is insecurity in so many parts of the Republic of Kenya. Instead of the government protecting the people that they swore, the president carried a Bible and said that I will follow the constitution and respect whatever is in it, you know, and even carry the Bible and promise that this Bible, what it means for us Christianity, that I will, whatever I've carried or promised here, I will follow. It is so unfortunate that instead of helping the people of Kenya,
Mhm.
securing their lives, people are being abducted within the country, within the capital city, left, right, and center. And our police, who are supposed to restore peace, love, and all those things, are in another country fighting to help in I don't know how many miles away. It is really unfair for the people of Kenya. It does not make sense. And whatever cost that they are bringing before us or on our toes or on our head, it is, to me, it is irrelevant. And the president should be questioned together with all those people who gave uh, that authority for the police officer, Kenyan police, to go to that country.
So, and now, if you come to the that physical discipline, that's now where Okiya Omtata is coming in to bring in this physical discipline, whereby he's separating the separation of the Ministry of Finance and the Treasury, where the treasury will be run. And I think he was suggesting that the treasury should be at the central bank, where it will be run by the expert, including the the president. We call him the governor of the central bank. Yeah. So now this treasury will not be accessible to the politicians. That he means by the executive, if to say so, that anything that will be coming from the treasury should come at the call of the expert at the treasury. So in the Ministry of Finance, they will be formulating the policies. Yeah, this is what we are going to do. This is our blueprint for this year in our budget. Then it will be examined with the experts at the treasury.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
after that, then
you know, yes,
after
I
that,
agree with this proposal.
yeah,
And if you see even now, these corporates operate, the corporates, Safaricom, all these big, companies, it is very difficult to, start getting money or getting into corrupt dealings within those companies, because there's every department. And when it comes to money, there's a channel that, it has to come from different people, so that should anything go wrong, there's a line of people that can be followed, and they can be answerable, and they are experts. What we've seen, especially in the Republic of Kenya, we've seen that the president has too much power, that when he tells the people in the treasury, we need 2 billion now, without any asking why you need that 2 billion, the president will be given money. I think those are the things that Okiya are trying to address, and that this is not the president's money, it is not the executive's money, it is not the parliament's money, it is not the judiciary's money, it is the money for the people.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so I really, really hope that such kind of measures are things that we can operate with within the country.
Okay. Thank you so much, Miguda. I hope you're still there. And
Yeah.
what is your take on this clear separation of power that the Okiya Omtata, the good senator of Busia, is trying to bring, whereby he's suggesting that there will be separation from Ministry of Finance and the Treasury, whereby they are going to work independently, and this is going to will assist with even wastage of money in, in in some projects that are not supposed to be.
Okay, first let me try to respond to what MCOBURA said concerning the Kenyan police who are in Haiti. It is not illegal to take their troops to a foreign country. The role of the police is to deal with the internal affairs. And when they are in Haiti, they are not guarding the border of the Haiti. They are not dealing with external attack. They are dealing with the internal affairs, whereby there is emergence of a gang in civilian. That's the role of the police, is to deal with the civilian. You can have a treaty. Kenya being a member state of the United Nations, United States of America, member of the United Nations. So in United Charter, these are provisions whereby there can be a treaty between member states. Kenya state, Haiti, and USA can have a treaty, an agreement that binds them, that they deposit it with the Secretary General of the United Nations. That agreement can allow the internal police officers to go to internal country of other nation to deal with the civilian, the internal gang, if there is a treaty that binds them, and that treaty must be respected. If at all there could be an issue of invasion by a military in Haiti, then we can send our military to go for that United Nations mission if there is any agreement. Like the issue of Congo, the issue in Congo, that gang is already equipped, it's armed, it's a recognized gang whereby it is armed, they are having the combat uniform, and they're operating like a military. So that's why you have seen the United Nations in a treaty, in an agreement, they have sent their troops. United Nations do not have a permanent troop. United Nations do not have a permanent military. They don't have a permanent police. The reason why they do apply other forces from other nations, if you're a member state, you can give out your services to a member state in a treaty, an agreement between the two countries. The fact that Trump administration has come to place and now Biden administration is going home, it will not affect the agreement between Kenyan state and the USA state. It's always binding state members. It will not affect, because already that agreement is deposited at the Secretary General of the UN. It is effective the way it is, unless it is reviewed. The reason why Omtata want to separate the National Treasury from cabinet minister for finance, in my view, you have said about treasury, but in my view, it is national treasury. It should be national treasury. It has been in this country whereby people view it as treasury. It's not treasury docket, it's national. It is treasury that serves the entire country. National government, county government, it cut across. It should be a national thing, that this is a national treasury, like National Assembly, national treasury. So when you want to distinguish between a treasury and cabinet secretary for finance and planning, it is the national treasury which has been doing all the works, including economy planning. They are planning our economy. So you want to distinguish that if you are in the finance docket, deal with the economy. If you're in the treasury, deals with the expenditure. In my view, that one could give a clear way for money and for planning. So there's planning is distinct from money. You don't need to mix both into one docket. If it can bring it, it is a good idea for the country, because in the mix of the national treasury, planning, finance, and economic, it makes things to an extent that you do not know who is corrupt, who did this, who planned this, who draft this. That's why we have mixed reaction when our finance bill is being drafted outside. We borrow internationally, domestically, and we have current national debt. So who is answerable? They all peg all these questions to the CS for economics, economy and planning and finance. But there is that national treasury. That's a clear indication of how you want to deal with the issue of the second tier, the one which he brought. Do that the second tier. That could be my view.
Okay, thank you so much. And also, there's something that's also very, very important about the discipline, especially when it comes to budgeting and all that. He talked about one mapping about the Kenyan resources, the resources that Kenyans have, and after mapping that, knowing where actually they are, the gold, the aluminium, the natural resources that we have, and where now being which can be transformed into wealth. And the way he's going to do this, after mapping and knowing where they are, then he will introduce the taxes on them. And the tax that comes from them will be used to have what we call the saving, whereby the Kani can have, I think like this is called the reserve, if I might be wrong, because I think in Kenya we have the reserve bank, right? It should be consolidated bank. MIGUDA or MCOBURA. Do we have a reserve bank where we, as a country, where we do our savings, whereby if the country is at crossroad, we can run to our reserves where we do our savings? I don't know. If
The National Bank used to do that, but I think it changed.
to what bank? I think it's consolidated bank.
It is
I don't know whether
consolidated.
your consolidated bank. Yeah.
Okay, I'll confirm that.
Yeah, so that's also something that he talked about, of mapping the resources. And after knowing where they are, then if somebody wants to get our resources, there's that percentage, or even the locals who are mining those resources, there's a tax that they have to pay, and this money should go for savings, so that Kenya would run to that. There's also something that he spoke about the also about the borrowing, especially when we borrow internationally. The money should not go, it should go to the reserves, where from there, then it will be taken to such particular project that is meant for. Then the Auditor General and all the constitutional offices that are given power to check how money is being used should be. So it's so much elaborate, and it is very, very much clear on where the senator is taking the country, or the view, the project, or the projection of the country where. But the question is, will the people of Kenya look into it? Because this is now issue-based kind of politics, whereby you've been given a roadmap. This is what we are going to do. And if we do this, this is what we are going to earn. But now, is the Kenyan are ready for what Okiya Omtata is talking about? All this, the tire, then we'll come to the last tire, the third one. Makubura, do you think when you listen and read on what we are discussing about some of the things that we picked from his talk, he spoke of so many things at Spice FM, and this were very important because I don't know, even like, how we Kenyans, we know how many minerals that we have, that our country have, the mineral deposits that our country have, and how has this mineral really generated revenue to the government, or really transformed the lives of the people who are living in those areas. So, and this is a very good policy for me if I'm looking at it.
Yes, I've there's a time I watched Okiya Omtata addressing, I think it was during the Gen Zs when he was invited in X Space, and I heard him talk about the minerals. And I was also shocked actually, because the knowledge that Okiya Omtata has when it comes to the minerals which are within this country, and in every part of the country he knows which minerals are there. And he says that I think he has even been fighting for the people of Kenya, especially on these mineral deposits. And there are some cases I had him mention. And Kenya is a wealthy country. We've got so many things, but just like he has been saying, the minerals that we have are not benefiting us. What we've always seen is a country, one, for example, when a country, these superpower countries, whenever they have discovered that there are mineral deposits within any part of the Republic of Kenya, what they do is they hire the whole land, and then they start mining. When they hire, they have the control. There is a specific revenue that they give the government, and then even without declaring the worth of these minerals, they transport into their countries. And this has been the norm. Okay, Omtata, I heard him saying that the government giving this more power to countries to just mine within the country, just because they've came and they have said that there are minerals here and we've leased this land, and then the government goes ahead and leaves them to do what they want. These are things which have messed us as a country. Because sometimes he was even saying that sometimes these companies come, they look at the mineral deposits. If they have seen that there is more of it, then they tell the people who are concerned that, you know what, let's say if whatever they found is costing 1 billion, they will say that it is 500 million. The valuation bit, they try to put a little bit small amount so that they can benefit out of it. And people have been displaced within these parts of this country, and they've not been compensated. And you'll find that the people who have mined, the international, the companies, international companies which have mined, they have gone and gotten a lot of money at the expense of the poor suffering people, some of them who have been displaced. And when these people leave these parts of places, they
Yeah.
leave them exposed to an extent that this place become useless or bare, that
Mm.
people cannot farm. There's no anything valuable that can come out of these places. So in short, he's saying that there's a lot of uh, mismanagement in the mineral sector. There's a lot of misuse of the land in the Republic of Kenya, and also misuse of the people of Kenya. And according to him, he's saying that these are structures, these are things that can be negotiated. These are things that, uh, when a clear discussion, when we have a clear discussion and everything is put on the right place, then possibly it could be easy to even negotiate. If you don't have the capacity and the resources and all the machinery that is required to get or to mine these minerals, then we need to have a law that is saying that, for example, a certain percentage should be taken to the people who have been displaced. A certain amount of money should be taken to either the county or the national government, so that all these things become beneficial to the people of Kenya. But not that A government, someone comes, they take a whole piece of land, and then through brokers, they pay brokers on behalf of the government. And then these brokers, most of the time, they don't even declare how much they've been given. And that is how corruption is ending up in these sectors. So all these things that Okiya Omtata talked about, personally, from where I see them as genuine. I see them as solutions which can get us out of the difficult situations that we are. For example, in this mineral department or sector, mineral alone can be able to offset all the loss that you are owning in this country if it is well managed. Mineral alone can change the lives of the people of Kenya, especially who are living within these areas, if it is well managed, if everything is negotiated and everything is brought and put in law, and all these things are done in a manner that reflects transparency, in a manner that reflects the laws of the land. You are muted.
Right. I don't know what is happening. Oh, and through everyone who is watching us out there, support this channel by just subscribing so that when we have such like conversation about the leadership of this country, you can be part of, and you can also share your opinion, because we are here to learn and to listen and to see what is working for us, and also disagree on what is not working for us. Miguda, what is your take on the mapping of the mineral resources that we have, and creating a reserve where, when the taxes that have been taken out of these minerals will be uh, will go to the reserve bank, which can be as for used as an emergency, just in case if we have emergency, so that we don't have to break the pockets of the banks, or we don't have to switch. There's this tendency of government, when there was allocation of a certain money in a certain ministry and is not used, they swap it. You know, and so what is was allocated for is not being done. So Miguda, what is the take? Is it there? Okay. I will get back to him when he comes back. So the last tier that Okiya Omtata talked about, it is very, very important one. And this is touches on the core of this nation, because this is where the
Maybe I say something about what you've just asked, Migura.
yeah,
There should be, just as the way I'd explained earlier,
yeah,
the people in government, they always look at excuses, or they always look at something that, a reason that they can have, so that
mhm,
they can move money from, these dockets to somewhere else, or get it
mm,
out of the government, uh, accounts.
yeah,
So this issue of shifting of, projects or money from one docket to the other,
yeah,
it is something that these people always plan. Remember, it has been said that in Kenya, whenever budget is being passed or made, there's a percentage that is catered for corruption. Just put aside, it is within the budget. And
yeah,
these are things that we can avoid.
mhm,
Again, apart from that amount that is put aside for to cater for corruption, there's also amount that is always put within some dockets or ministries, knowing very well that they will not use it, so that they will have a reason, to sweep it or to swap it to another docket, with an intention of not helping or going to improve the other dockets, but with an intention of, corruption.
mhm,
And the proposals that Okiya is proposing, Okiya has always followed the issue of finance bill and
yeah,
how money is siphoned or gotten out of the government coffers. And it is true that this is a challenge that we're having as a country. And they always do this, knowing that, this is the only way you can get it out without them knowing.
okay,
The Auditor General has said this not once, but several times, that whenever money is being transferred, for example, from the Ministry of Lands, to the Ministry of, let's say, Transport, it is not with good intention. But
Yeah.
if you kindly follow all these swaps that have been done, you'll realize that that is the only way that these people get to save on and to take the money of the people.
Okay, this is keep real, brother Benson. I didn't know that you are here. Yes, this is where I'm usually at. We tend to discuss the issue of this country, and we are inviting you, my brother, for to this platform because here we discussed about the issues, and you are one person that I know who is issue based person. Who- who- you should always come because we need your input, especially like right now we are discussing about Okiya Omtata and the tier that he has put in place. And Kenyans have always said that they want a country that they belong because I think Okiya Mutata has done so much for this country. I've never met him personally, um, that in person, but through what he's doing, I've come to know him. You know, we've read about him. I think the first time I came to know of Okiya Mutata, I don't know when, but there was a time he chained himself in, was it the Central Police Station with the chain? I don't know which year was that. And I say, like, who is this guy? And I don't know how many they, several occasions that he has really suffered being beaten up to mpaka meno zake zinatolewa. Duari, habari gani? Uko salama? So, Mr. Kip, when we will always be going on air, you can always join us for the conversation that will change the life of our people and will make those who are watching us to make informed decision, not because they belong to a certain region, but because they belong to Kenya and they want a Kenya that is working for all. So you are highly welcome, and I'm usually here. Thank you so much, Mr. Kip. So next time, if we find time, be with us. We have in here we do have, just to give you a brief history of this channel, we have our frequent four panelists. We have Miguda, we have MCOBURA, and we have one of us who is not here is called Barak. Yeah. So we are here. Poa sana na nyinyi. Je, tuko salama Duari? We are just discussing about Okiya Mutata. Makubura, I know I will be dropping very soon, but I want Miguda also to talk about the the third tier that Okiya Mutata was talking about. It was talking about industrialization. And in the industrialization tier, Okiya Mutata was talking about the food security. Okiya Mutata was talking about health. Okiya Mutata was talking about education. And if you look at this text, this tier, when you come to the food security, and this is where I involve agriculture. You know, the agriculture is the backbone of our nation. You know, but I don't think we've been doing well. You know, in terms of agriculture. You know, the food production. What are we producing? You know, and also when it comes to health, and you know, when you look at the the health sector, the health sector is a place which is so rich. If you want a place whereby there's money is in the health sector, yeah, because people are always sick, you know, and the people will always seek medication. And Okiya Mutata also is trying to see that there's a very good food production in the country. There's a good health system that works, and there's education that works. So, what is your take on this? If he can make um, a change in the production, education, and health, what kind of country are we looking for? What country will we be in, Mr. Miguda?
First, allow me to respond to the issue of minerals in
Yeah.
the country. Okiya Mtata, by touching minerals, that's where corruption is in this country. That's where corruption is hidden. Okiya Mtata has been in the system, he understands and he knows that's where corruption is. most of the minerals in the country, if you go deeper, you'll find that it is the people in the government that are actually extracting those minerals, and they are refining them into final products with their own companies and their own machines. They are using local leaders on the ground to extract those minerals. Okay, I'm trying to know very well that minerals where there is corruption, and once you touch minerals, the economy will just get back to where it's supposed to be. For instance, the gold mining in Migori, there are certain local leaders there who used to do that business with the current with the former deputy president during the Uru regime. So there's a lot of history about that minerals in the country. I don't want to delve into it because it's corruption based and it touched so prominent figures in this country. You talk about industrialization whereby there's food security, education, and health. During the colonial period, when the colonizers came to the Kenyan country, Kenyan people identified themselves with three most things which were disturbing: ignorance, poverty, and health. Those problems have not we haven't get rid of them to date. But Okiya Omtata suggested them as his last tire. He's trying to link the obvious problem and is bringing a better solution than the people who have been there before, because those problems have been there, they are there, but the people who have got opportunity to solve those problems have failed Kenyan people. He's trying to tell Kenyan people that given opportunity, we will sort out the issue of ignorance, the issue of poverty, and the issue of health. That each and every Kenyan will subscribe to universal health coverage. Each and every Kenyan will access better education. Each and every Kenyan will get food production. He's just trying to bring it in a manner that he has the solution to that problem, because he believes that when given opportunity to serve the people of Kenya, he can deliver. But that's my take.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Miguda. I think we're almost coming to an end. To our viewers, this is the Benson Media, and here we say that your opinion counts. I'm taking this opportunity to acknowledge the presence of Judith Karita at the comment section, Brenda Obedi, Kipril, you are highly welcomed to Brother Benson Media. And here we say that your opinion counts. If you're new here, we are requesting you to kindly subscribe to the channel so that whenever we'll be having a session, you'll be notified. But Seba Ndwari, asante sana for your comments na tunashukuru sana. We really appreciate the fact that you joined. Everyone at the viewing section, those that have not mentioned their names, we are grateful that you took your time to join and be with us. And to Brother Benson, to Miguda, I'm also grateful. Mr. Miguda, maybe what should you, any other thing that is still remaining that you'd want to share with the people of Kenya on the issue of Mr. Omtata? Going for this post, it's not an easy thing. And being that he's new to this, most of the time, what the people that we've always seen win this position are people who have been in politics for quite some times. What is your take? What do you take? What do you say about him being new and coming to this field? Do you see possibility of him, clinching this position? Being in mind that you've seen his proposals, which are actually making sense and pro people, and again, being that he's been fighting for the people of Kenya, a consistent activist. What do you have to say, a general view of what you see about him and maybe what we should expect before we end the show?
Before we end the show, what I can just attest in politics, do not underestimate any contester. Do not underrate your opponent. And in politics, there is possibility. Okiya Omtata, we cannot outrule him out, but he must know that the person is going to compete against the current person who is defending the status quo. He's a ruthless politician. He's someone who has been named by his allies and foes in politics as a cunning hare, someone who does not forgive, a potential dictator, someone who has been described as a professor of politics. So that is not an ordinary politician for you. If you are going to compete against that person, you must realign yourself with the dynamics of the contest. You now need to come out from activist and be a politician. You now need to see how you can go past or beyond activism. You need to move beyond your county, beyond your political party, create friends across the board, look for coalition, look for strategic coalitions that can assist you to bring that power. With all those, you can give William Ruto a run for his money. But if he goes on the way he's going as an activist, William Ruto will have him for breakfast.
Okay, thank you for that. That was a good insight and a good advice to Mr. Kiamtata. Maybe before you end, your last remarks to the viewers and those who will be watching.
My last remark to our viewers, Kenyan people, and the people will be watching after we have ended the show. We appeal to you that whenever you get an opportunity to elect a leader, do not elect a leader with your own emotions. Don't elect a leader based on your tribe, where you're coming from, or based on your political interest. Sometimes try to put the interest of the country ahead of your interest, ahead of your tribe, ahead of your emotion. Just try to love your country for once. Be patriot and vote for someone who is perceived to be the face of change. And that is person is Okiya Omtata, then give him your vote when you try to reach at a polling station to vote, cast your vote. Kindly vote for that person for the transformation of the country. For viewers and those who will watch later, we urge you that even those who are watching this for the first time, kindly urge you to subscribe to the channel. You can like, you can share the video, you can give the channel thumbs up. You can as well watch the hard video. They are very impactful for this channel. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Let me also take this opportunity to say thank you to everyone who joined and to everyone who will be watching. We are really grateful and thanks for your time. I'm taking this opportunity to wish you a blessed night, a blessed morning, a blessed afternoon, a blessed evening from wherever you are. Feel welcomed and loved, and may God bless you. Thank you and bye bye.